Well, hello, one person watching. Thank you for coming. It's gone down to 0 again, so I don't really know what exactly is happening, but welcome, whether you're the live viewer watching now or coming round later. I thought at the time, during the stream of Paul van der Klee, that there was lots to say, and I did manage to say it. And high ups, I should give you the link now in case you want to join, and yes, leave it there for everyone else who might wish to come along. I hope your time and circumstances allows you to be able to do that. So I was quite pleased with myself that I managed to get, I think, I would say about a third of my thesis off my chest in the time allocated, and then I kind of wrong-footed myself. I always forget. I always think it's going to be a dialogue, and somebody says something, and I'm going to say it, and then, then I sort of think, oh, it's not my turn to speak, and I think my connectivity was a little unstable, so you're not really sure if it's your turn to speak or not or whatever. And then I realised that, of course, with Paul van der Klee, you kind of do it like Luke, in that you allow these monologues, because they're not conversations, you see. So I think that's the element of frustration. And even if you do get a bit of an exchange, you never get to the bottom of things, and then some people get frustrated and angry and express it. But the chat was good, and I think I have made this analogy before, that for many of us, we have kind of excremental matter to drop in the form of thoughts and speech, and we need to do it, because it has a cleansing effect. We get something off our chest, and this is what I've noticed. There's a sense of relief and release. It's like, yeah, I managed to get it off my chest, but of course, the whole process requires you getting it together to say it in the time allocated, when people really are listening, before their attention wanders. And I suppose what is most satisfying in a conversation is that, if it is a proper conversation, is that, the person who's listening to you will either agree with you, which is great, or disagree with you, which is not so great, but at least showing they understood what you said, and because they understood, disagree, or they get something of what you say and they misunderstand what you say. But you do have a chance to clear up any misunderstanding, and that is why dialogue is so important, and not, a queue of people waiting to say something on a certain subject, because it loses its dialogic nature, and we don't get this instant gratification that we get when we say something and somebody either agrees with us or disagrees with us and tells us why, and then we can tell them why we disagree with their disagreement, and you can get a dialogue going, and that I think is very important to our mental health, because people, I think it's called bowel blockages, when people get that and they actually die because they can't expel the waste matter within their bodies, and yeah, they actually die. although I have been accused of not enjoying good mental health, and people accusing me of being, mad or evil or stupid, the thing is, I think I enjoy quite good mental health in that, at least I don't feel depressed or in a state of existential crisis, because I get things off my chest. And some people may call it a compulsion because they say it can't help your personal relationships and whatever. Or sometimes it's just a compulsion. You think you know something, and you just have to get it off your chest. And I'm basically saying, here I am. I've got this idea. You may not agree, so tell me why. Tell me why you don't agree. And maybe you're right, but you kind of have to square up to me. And I also know there are people who, Luke Thompson is one, and well, he has all these ideas. He doesn't really explain them properly, and he doesn't really want to talk about them. And I feel he's kind of protecting it like it was a deformed infant. And I'm saying, well, if you're carrying on like that, you obviously don't think it's ready. So make it ready, or not talk about it at all. And I've realised that his streaming style is he makes us listen to his stuff for one whole hour. Well, sometimes you get a few nuggets of wisdom and information, but most of the time it's really annoying because he puts on such a performance when really just tell us what's on your mind and we'll listen to it. And Ups is here, hooray!
Hello.
Hello. Happy Friday to you.
Oh, same to you. Thank you very much. It was actually a very good day so far. So, yeah.
Yes, and we were on the Paul Vanderklay Friday stream, weren't we?
Yeah, I was able to listen to most of it. Unfortunately, I didn't catch your part. I missed that part. So,
I have good news for you. It was very short.
Okay.
And it
Yes.
was sort of very soon after he opened the stream. And yeah. Well, I think a lot of these conversations is getting ourselves understood, and I so enjoyed our last conversation, and you told me something new that I didn't know towards the end, and I can't remember what it was now. But I know I've got it, noted down somewhere, so I can look it up.
It was
Oh
good.
yes, globalization. That was it.
Localization, yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
not a lot of people know about this, by the way. It's a very powerful notion, and especially if you are, because when you told me, when we had this conversation about the different characteristics, and I made the connection with the franchise model. Yeah, to me, this is actually a good way to understand what you are doing, Claire. Like, it's a political theory type of a franchise that espouses to follow this global model, basically. This is how I understand what you are doing now, and yeah.
yeah, and the thing is, I think of how oppressive Christianity must have been, because it was like all the kings and queens of Europe, they had to obey the Pope basically, and he would tell them to do this and to tell them to do that and go on crusades and, issue interdicts and saying, you don't agree with this thing with me. I'm going to make sure that your prayers don't work and, all kinds of things like that. So, it was like, this CEO person saying, to everyone below, you've got to do things my way. But the franchise idea is like, well, I know I can't force you to do anything, but it would be better if you tried to follow it in your own way. I obviously don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I've got a few things wrong, but this is what I think would be best, and you may disagree, but you can follow it in your own way.
Yeah, let me just add this. It's not only that it is a franchise, it is a social franchise. So that means that it can or it basically you get to decide if you are gonna make it like a non-profit or a for-profit or anything. You can even just leave it as it is, unincorporated, and you see how it scales, But it's always good to have a clear picture in your mind, It helps.
Yes, metaphors and analogies and, things that make a very alien idea familiar to people. And it's like they're obviously obsessed with business models,
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a business model. It can be, something else, like a grassroots type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily, trying to turn it into a business, but they talk about the TLC. They talk about the marketplace of ideas. So it has business implications. But I'm just saying, in politics, everybody has an idea, and you'll be very lucky if people will actually pay you to listen to your political views. So I guess that's why, if you're ever a political activist, you're just happy when you hand out leaflets to people that they take it, because some people won't even take it, right? They won't take it, and they might throw it away after they've taken it.
Exactly, yeah. They take it and they throw it away, which is much worse. Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's very, very bad when it happens right in front of your eyes.
yes.
There is something comedic about it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you think of the business model of Substack. I mean, okay, I can't say people even. I mean, I did get monetized once, but I was so relieved when I said something wrong and I was demonetized when YouTube was much stricter, and Substack it's like, yes, all the kind of conservatives go there, and then they say their thing, but they deprive themselves of their their most valuable interactions, which is people who don't agree with them, and people who don't agree with them will not be subscribing to their Substack, So and so all you get is your echo chamber of people who already agree with you, and I think that's also dangerous.
Yeah, in at least in terms of marketing, because first of all, I don't really believe that there is any form of digital marketing really exists, because any form of marketing is just marketing. And there is something like people go to these social media promotion companies and they pay them a lot of money and they don't get any real return on investment. And the reason is because it's very difficult to find the correct niche. It doesn't mean that it's not out there, but it's very difficult to find it. So these guys, they are trying basically blindly. And there is no guarantee that they will give you back the value that you are seeking. the best model, it's the organic model, because if things start spreading via word of mouth, then the growth will be organic, and that's great for many reasons, because it means that you are building a community, right? And people are sharing in other platforms, which is great. And you also get the chance to get it for free.
Yes,
So
because
you don't
people
need
want to talk about it to other people
yeah,
at parties and meetings and stuff.
yeah. That's the genuine form of what I call good marketing. It just happens. It doesn't mean you cannot prepare for it, but there is also an element of I don't know, luck in many cases, because what happens, it's that probably some random journalist from another country, like somewhere far away, that they don't speak English or any other. I don't know. Maybe they speak Indonesian or something like that. Then journalists from there will take your video and just place it within a Reddit forum or something, and it will go viral from there. So this is how these things are happening mostly.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there are lots of algorithms in um, on YouTube and others. That certain things are shadow banned and suppressed and that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But YouTube is not the only platform.
Yes, I mean I do spread myself out on different platforms, but I suppose I sort of know. Well, I do know that my idea is unpopular, but I think just concentrating on TLC has kind of helped because at least they all complain about me and they sort of know my shtick and it's in a way it's sort of organic. If you talk about what certain groups, I mean, as I've been saying, TLC is an important demographic of Europeans and English speaking peoples who want to hold on to their traditions and don't like what their government is doing but don't know what to do about it. you know
If you allow me to interject there something,
Please
uh,
do.
speaking completely neutrally, like without being biased as far as I can, I
Hmm.
would say that you don't care about what they are saying about you. It doesn't even matter.
No.
And the
Oh,
only fact
it took.
that matters in reality, like in pragmatically speaking, is that you are part of the discussion, which is in a way the objective, right? So something works. This is what I am saying.
Well, I think that's the thing. A lot of people, I know Luke. He doesn't like people annoying him, but I suppose because of all my years of political activism, it's nothing now. I guess when I was much younger, I would be hurt and upset and brood about it for days or weeks or months, but now I just don't care. So I guess that,
Yeah,
something comes with age, very thick skin, I guess.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get it. I get it, and it's not um, something against look specifically. It's generally speaking, that's not a bad attitude, towards such things. So yeah,
Yes. Yes, and I suppose, not many people are in my friendship and family group. Nobody's that invested in these ideas, and even my mother calls me a crank. But I guess you have to be kind of invested in these things because you know if you don't enjoy the cut and thrust of, discussions and debates, then everything is hurtful. When people say something mean and whatever, and but what I found is that it's actually allowed me to get on much better with my mother now, because
That's good. That's
she
great. That's great.
because
Yeah.
she's always so critical, but now I don't care. I don't get hurt. I don't get angry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This comes with experience in the years, I think. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I take that to be a good thing. So, yeah,
Yes.
generally speaking, I don't think not only TLC but globally, um, I don't think most people care about ideas, like discussing about ideas. Um,
I
many,
know.
yeah,
People much more famous than me, they've written books, and they complain that nobody reads them. And it's true, they don't read them, they don't get them read. If you don't say it in short form enough, you probably, your idea won't take off, because people will just get bored and stop reading.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like that. Do you ever write? By the way,
Oh
essays?
yeah, I mean, I have a Substack, I have a blog, I'm on X. So, and I have a link tree that tells you, and I did write a book which is available on Amazon. So,
That's good. That's good. That's good, bro. I don't like eggs for some reason. I tried really hard twice so far over the years, and one back when it used to be called Twitter, to
mhm,
optimize the algorithm to just get the good stuff that I want and not the
mhm.
the other garbage. I was able to do it once in 2015, and I was able also to do it last year, but they are constantly changing the algorithm, and it gets messed up, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, it's so powerful that Donald Trump, who had an account on X, um, he tried. I mean, he was deplatformed from it when he was still president, if you
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and one thing that is so powerful about X, or Twitter as it then was, is that you know that people have read from the beginning and to the end of the tweet, because it's only, what, 250 characters. So of course they did actually finish it. And of course it disciplines you, to keep it short and within the time limit. Though now if
yeah,
you pay,
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. That's a good exercise. Yeah, yeah,
mm, because really any, I think it used to be 200 characters or something. It used to be shorter. Um, but I mean, the point was that any sentence could be fit into 150 characters. And at least you will be able to get one coherent thought out. And this is really it. I mean, nobody wants all the extra detail and the long sentences that get so annoying.
yeah,
And people who tell stories, I know speakers who want to, talk about, all the little details, and it's just so boring. It's always, excuse me, get to the point, so, we can enjoy your joke or whatever it is. Yeah.
um, I don't know. I think I know. Okay, in UK most probably, but also in Cyprus. Um, at least among the male population, the main discussion is about football.
Hmm.
That's it. So it's very difficult to. I'm not saying it's not feasible, but it's very difficult to have good friends, basically, where you can additionally not only discuss about your personal um, things that they are happening in your life and whatever, but also you can discuss these more abstract or even concrete ideas, and that's really valuable. And in a way, I believe that TLC it's a huge improvement towards that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I only found TLC because, yes, through Jacob, because I discovered about Michael Savita's, and then I looked up YouTube for Michael Savita's feed videos, and then I found Jacob, and I started talking to him, and
Jacob
that was
hates that guy, right? If I
Jacob
remember.
Farterecci, yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Um, and but I guess it's all related to politics and religion with me. But these days with the internet, you just type your thing, right? If you're interested in antiques or history or music, in a few minutes you'll be put in touch with people who share your interests.
You can surely try. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. But but I suppose you have to be quite specific. I mean, I've been to um, channels who just they just want to concentrate on certain things, and maybe it's not quite um, well not proper. I suppose people want to talk about Jewish conspiracies and how much they hate Muslims and whatever it is, and you can go straight to them, but then they're also quite narrow in their own way because they just talk about the same subject, and it's the TLC that has this width and this respectability, I suppose, because people show their faces. And I suppose that's one of the reasons why people are extra careful, maybe.
Yeah, definitely something works there that it's not easily gained. Like such things take years, and TLC already invested a lot of that time. And
Hmm.
yeah, there is a concept called chain of trust, and
Hmm.
it arises at a more I don't know during the growth stage of this type of grassroots movement,
Hmm.
and it's something that is already embedded in TLC. Like people, they trust each other. You have all these moderators, people, different channels making people moderators. Uh, People also speak not only during the live streams or in the hive mind or in
Hmm.
the chat, but they also behind the scenes, right?
Hmm.
So there is a form of friendship developing there. It's not only
Yes.
it's not only good that it's not only that people are looking for a good conversation. You know,
Yes,
the
because
conversation,
it's.
the good conversation is a byproduct of the friendship.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess people think, oh, it's it's by a pastor, so he you know has these qualities of seniority, respectability, church, and people feel safe, I guess.
That's a good foundation, don't you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. And people show their faces, and they talk about themselves, which is another genuine bit of it. Occasionally they worry about privacy, but this is kind of a way also showing that the genuine people with genuine gardens and cars and that kind of thing, right? And yeah, as I was saying, they are an important demographic because in a way it's a a combination of the coastal elites in America, Paul van der Klee being a Californian, and a certain cachet of views, and also and also a good age range from grandparents to parents to bachelors, but very few women, which is interesting, don't you think?
The women are there,
Mm.
just not on the screens.
Yes, because they are the wives of the YouTubers concerned, and they get talked about because people would talk about their day and mention their wife and their children and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a proper community, because in these kind of more focus groups, it's like, yeah, you're all that bachelors, and then you will form your opinions about a gang of bachelors or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps some marketing company will pay Paul van der Klee something. It might become an actual thing.
He has the potential, for sure. He definitely has the potential. Yeah, at some points, one of the channels, excuse me, one of the channels within TLC, they will make it big. I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of Luke Thompson's hosting style. I mean, he's actually doing what Paul van der Klee is doing, right? He has the everybody come on and everybody take your turn and say your thing, and whatever. And I guess my style is I prefer one-to-one conversations.
Okay, I just made a really funny thought.
Hmm.
So Luke is doing Luke style is PVK style with Luke characteristics.
Yes. Yeah, you sort of work it out, and why do people go? And I was thinking, why he's so annoying, and then you think, they go there because he's so annoying, because when he sits there and moves around, and you think, he's like one of those boxers. They sort of know they have to kind of keep moving their head or they get punched, and you want to
Yeah.
throw things at him.
Luke is a very good guy, by the way. Yeah.
I know he's genuine and everything, and I guess there is a bit of playground bullying in a way, and you think actually it's good. Even the bullying is good, because sometimes you sort of need to tell somebody why you find them annoying, and maybe they might eventually fix it, even though they don't think you have a right to say whatever. And I think fundamentally it's healthy. I mean, I do take on board criticisms when people tell me, and yeah, and the chat is like it's got 150 characters, and when people are being really mean, they it's like it's so cutting and so malicious and everything, and you think, yeah, but people concentrate their malice in only 150 characters, so they have to make every word matter, and that's why it's so concentrated and sometimes hurtful or whatever. And but yeah, it's another form of communication, right? Sometimes you do it short form and other times you do it long form, and sometimes you don't want your channel to get too big because you want the host to know who's posting in the chat, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said before, I really believe that this short format of X, it's a really good exercise, writing exercise.
Mm.
Yeah. And I am not very well versed in X, in using X. First of all, I am not a member, so I'm a free member basically. So
You can hop onto Spaces though, can't you? Did you ever use Spaces on X?
um, yes,
These online conversations that you can
yes,
use.
yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes, quite a few times. Yeah,
Mhm.
those are good. I think it has to do with there is something where people post and they link different tweets together.
Yeah. You
Thing like a thread, you know.
yes. So they started doing that, and I do that now because I used to be, I used to pay, and then if you pay, you can, write as long as you like, and so you don't have to think, oh, I have to start another tweet now. But I don't mind, and also because I spend so much time on YouTube again, I don't really have that much time for X, and also I find that the discourse is a bit different. I mean, YouTube, I guess, is probably the most respectable because it's the most widely used. X, I thought for a while was quite good because there seemed to be more educated professional people, um, but um, um, but for the others, not so much. The very, I guess extreme or very, um,
Yeah.
a very small church of people with very similar views.
Mhm. You
Mhm.
know, YouTube is the primary channel for most people, and what I often say is that YouTube basically is a marketing channel for you.
Mhm.
Don't expect, and because it is a marketing channel, don't expect to get a lot of money out of it.
Mhm.
Just, but if you start seeing it as a marketing channel, that's good. That's a very helpful shift in perspective in terms of managing your relationship with YouTube,
Yes,
especially if you're a content creator. You know.
yes. I mean, they sort of know that they have to incentivize people to come on YouTube to create content, and yeah,
To
so
to
they have to pay them something, and even X does that. If you have over a certain how many subscribers, you can do this, you can do that, and we'll even pay you. They say, but I mean,
they don't.
fundamentally, I don't expect to make, any kind of profit because obviously it's very, very managed, and only certain people are promoted,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
have to pay them actually to, you know, um, make them um, to get more impressions. So it's
yeah,
like, there's a tweet you want, you have to pay what, well, a certain amount, and where you want the tweet to be seen and that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I think. It doesn't really work. If it was like if that tweet was going viral due to organic growth, that will work. And it is
Yeah.
those cases where you see millions and millions of views. It's not because it got promoted. Nobody pays to get like I don't know 5 million views or something like that.
But the thing is, I've had messages from people saying, "You have a YouTube channel. We can give you extra followers and
Yeah,
likes and subscribers and things like that." So there are people who try to make a living out of making your channel more impressive than it really is. And then I've seen, some channels who have, really loads of subscribers, and then it's like, but there's no comment, right?
Yeah,
Nobody even comments.
yeah, yeah. It is like that. Um, even if a channel starts making money out of YouTube, that that's not a lot of money. They don't pay well their content creators. They only pay for those rare channels that they constantly generate millions of views. Those guys they get a lot of money. Everyone else is getting like a fraction of what YouTube is getting.
Yeah, I read ages ago that YouTube is, well, I read for a while that it was losing money, and then now it's now highly profitable for Google, having generated over $60 billion in total revenue in 2025. The platform has shifted from a history of breaking even or losing money to a major profit driver, generating 36.1 billion in ad revenue in 2024, supported by over 100 million premium subscribers. So, yeah, it was loss making and became profit making
Yeah,
in 2025, apparently.
yeah.
Last year, it was last year when it, you know, doubled.
It's the main player, and the second player is like far behind them. Okay, before I joined, I sped up to listen what you are saying, your monologue there, and uh, as far as I remember, you were saying something interesting about the need to um, just express and communicate your ideas to others. Yeah, I found that interesting, an interesting thread.
Well, yes, because I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, but you should be nicer because otherwise people will hate you." And I said, it doesn't matter, because if you beat about the push, people don't even know what you're saying, so the message never gets through. So I'm saying, if you say it clearly, of course, some people are gonna hate you and get angry, etc. But even if they hate you and get angry, they're showing that they understood it. So that's something. And also, looking back on my own experience, there are lots of ideas that I hated initially that later I adopted. So, it's not the end of the world if people, hate what you say, on first hearing, because, in the end, something kind of goes on in their minds. And then when it comes out again, they think it's their own idea, right? I think often that often happens.
Yeah, that's almost a fundamental principle in the theory of ideas, how ideas spread, and memes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they sort of think, oh, I've always known that. I don't know how, but I did. I must have read it somewhere, or, yeah.
yeah, it has to do with this. It's a very um, fundamental thing, I think, because it is origin of ideas. Like I think many people are thinking about that. You know,
I mean,
yeah,
natural law is, I thought an interesting idea because, for ages I didn't really know what it meant. And then I realized, oh, it's, another word for divine law. And then, later I discovered it means logos. And what is logos? It means logic. And then they talk about the Greek philosophers again. and you know, it seems to, you know, have existed in the past, and then it became part of Christianity. It's also part of, you know, atheism, because, you know, scientists think they're being really logical, right? And,
But it's not only that logos is logical. Logos precludes logic. Like logos is also logical. It's also a ratio, if you think about it. Going back to the Greek, but also it's what is spoken. Like it's the spoken word. For me, that's a very critical distinction there. That logos is much more from logic, because initially that was I was really interested into how the two relate, you know, and not only in terms of the history of philosophy, but also like from in the sense of the history of mathematics, which is a completely different thing. But yeah, this is something I found very intriguing, to say the least. So,
may I know your educational background? Is it
I'm a
science?
computer scientist,
Okay.
but I'm working mostly in cognition, in cognitive systems.
What, AI?
It's part of AI, yeah. The LLMs are like based on the transformer architecture, deep learning, and machine learning. But there is another branch of AI that is not very popular, but I really believe that it should be. That it's called synthetic intelligence, and it has to do with never excluding the humans from the loop. Like if you want to build an intelligent system, you should go and interview domain experts.
Domain experts.
Yeah,
What's that?
for example, if you want to create an intelligent system that is capable of making forecasts, let me think of an example. In the domain of public health, okay, public health in a city. So if that's your concern, you need to go and not only consult what is in the literature, like in this specific domain of public health within city limits, but also you need to recognize that actual experts exist locally within the city, and go identify them by asking the decision to indicate them, and then you go and consult them. So it's very important to not only consolidate what's already there in the literature, what we call the state of the art, in terms of data and expert knowledge systems and all of that, but you should take into consideration the actual city. So, yeah.
Oh, so it's sort of, here's the thing, and here's what humans think about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and from the perspective of someone designing such systems, what you ought to do is to find clever ways to remove the cognitive biases, because each human being makes errors all the time, and we all of us have these cognitive biases. It's a very long list. You ought to find a way to systematically remove those type of biases. Like if I'm gonna consult, back in the example of public health in a city, if I'm gonna consult the garbage or the waste management department, that specific part of public health, I need to speak not only to the managers of the municipality or of the city responsible for waste management, but I also need to speak to even to the garbage truck drivers, because they are also experts. They have this very tactile knowledge that is very difficult to find in any book, right? You need to go out, extract it from the field, like actually how it is. And yeah, the transformer models do not do that. They just took all the data from the internet. So it's a completely different approach, right? But it's a very promising one, I think. What are we seeing?
Is it too small? Maybe I
I
can
can see it.
make it bigger for you.
I can see it. That's cool.
Right. Can you see it better now?
Yeah.
So, well, this is a joke about AI, and I thought it was quite funny when I first saw it. So, it's this friendly AI, and is this the sort of thing you were talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Because how can you learn about a domain without the real pragmatic knowledge, right? How can you include that? And this is why I think everybody in the AI field now, they are saying that LLMs, they are hitting their peak. There is no way to go beyond that in terms of intelligence. So yeah, a lot of AI startups now, they are looking for this way that they might make LLMs more than a tool,
More what?
more of a tool, a useful tool.
Well, it's quite useful already, isn't it?
Yeah, but it can become even more useful. Like for example, when you use LLMs now, I don't know if you notice this. Like you prompt something, the LLM model replies, but it finishes the reply with another question.
Well, yes. So it's sort of like, a really helpful, servant. You ask it to do the washing up, and it says, "Yes, I've done it. Would you like me to, clean the windows? Would you like me to do the garden?" And it suggests things for you to ask it.
Yeah, because all LLM models, they have like a huge corporation behind them, and they are interested in making users spend even more time within the app, to put it like that. So yeah, that's hard-coded behavior. It shouldn't be there because it keeps the engagement, going.
Yes. So, and then people talk about AI being a substitute for real life, because AI never gets bored or angry with you. So if you're obsessive, you can keep asking the same question, and while a human will say, no, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Not that subject again. I've told you to do
Yeah,
this.
They cannot say I can't anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and recently on X there was Richard Dawkins. This you've heard of him, and then he was saying, "Oh, I've been using Claude, and I think it's alive. It has consciousness, and because it says something seductive to him or something." Did you know that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's very disappointing for many people, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, but obviously he's a lonely man, and when he, I don't know, went back to Claude in the middle of the night, and he thinks it's Claudia because she said, "Oh, thank you for coming back to me," or something like that. And now they have AI boyfriends and AI girlfriends.
Yeah,
So yeah, so nobody's even but gonna get a real human you know, sex partner. They're just going to pretend it's AI, and AI will never say a word wrong. I mean, I
yeah.
think it's
That's
going
very
to be
bad.
bad.
That's a cultural thing, but that is very bad. You know,
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
it is a cultural thing that it's very bad that is happening. These AI girlfriends and boyfriends and all of that.
Yeah, it just means people will just stop having children, and then you think, oh, that's why masturbation is also a sin according to the Old Testament, because of Onan, that sort of thing. Because in a way, it's logical. If we if we only masturbate and never have sex with anyone of the opposite sex, of course, that will be the end of the human race. And the government is encouraging the sort of thing for some reason. Or the government doesn't even know what to do, or all our politicians are being you know um, are in the
Yeah.
pocket of all these big corporations. And this is the thing that I didn't quite get round to telling um, the the um, the PVK stream, because I was just saying, obviously we have to do something. Democracy is not working, not even for Americans. The people who voted for Trump wanted him to end the endless wars, and actually he's just started another one. What can you do about it? And then I was going to go on about George Washington saying, don't you be having political parties, my fellow Americans, it will be the end of you. And it's proven to be true, because I think it's actually a word that I learned from Cale Zeldin, or whatever his name was, I've forgotten. But
Yeah,
he,
that's
he
correct.
hmm?
That's correct. Kale Zilton. Yeah.
Yes, Zelton. Yes. So you were talking about kayfabe, and kayfabe is when American wrestlers, they pretend to be very aggressive to each other and threaten to tear each other's heads off or whatever, to drum up interest in viewers to want to see them, you know, do a wrestling fight. And I mean, I put it in terms of Punch and Judy, and the Punch and Judy show is a puppet show that children would be entertained in. I think they still are entertained by that. So it's basically Punch, who is a husband, and Judy, who is a wife, and they're always fighting, and the puppeteer makes all he does all the voices on a stage, and every now and then a policeman is called because of domestic violence, and the children find it very funny. And I'm saying this is what representative politics is. They kind of create characters and make them exciting and make up a story, and people get excited and support this party and that party. But in the end, uh, the policies are the same. So you might as well have a one party state like China, because China's at least, being so dangerous that the Americans want to, take it out. So, um, instead of trying to, bomb other countries and invade them and cut off their supplies of oil, why don't we see what we're doing wrong and, correct ourselves? But so I know everybody will just go, "Oh, this is horrible. How can you even support a one-party state? Look at the Nazi Party, the fascists under Mussolini, and the commies." And you know, and I'm saying, but Washington, he told you not to form political parties. What are you going to say about that? and for some reason they just refuse to read it or comment on it. So I don't know. I mean, you would have thought, oh, well, it's a Washingtonian idea. It's not a communist idea or a fascist idea or a Nazi idea. It's a Washingtonian idea. And you would have thought, the Americans would think, oh, it's a founding father idea. We should, take heed and, listen more carefully or whatever. But this is not the, they don't have this expected reaction.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it's obviously true. It's like they have to manage. They spend so much time and resources making up stories to make us believe in democracy, and when they should be just concentrating their minds on running the country better instead of telling us lies, and rigging elections.
Yeah. Yeah, going a bit back to kayfabe, I shared in the studio chat the origin. Eric Weinstein wrote this back in early 2010. So he was the one that introduced the term to the wider public, and that's the paper. It's interesting.
Oh yes, and I remember watching a stream, a PVK stream about Brett Weinstein. But I remember thinking it was interesting and important, but I've forgotten what it was now. Maybe you.
Yeah.
watched it.
Brett is his Eric's brother, and he's a biologist. And he recently they had a discussion with Jonathan Pajot and Jordan Hall, and he was talking about that. But also PVK had a recent talk with Pajot as well. So yeah, I didn't watch the one with the Brett Weinstein and the other two guys. I don't know. I am not interested in that type of stuff personally. So
What are you interested in then?
I'm interested in many things. One of them is mathematics. As an active field, but also even from the history of mathematics perspective. So that's interesting to me. I'm interested in innovation, including history of innovation. Yeah, and very specific things within cognition, like metacognition, for example. I'm interested in that type of stuff.
What is metacognition? Is it something to do with people asking what is consciousness, that kind of thing?
Not exactly. It has to do with a cognition about your own cognition. Like okay, I'm gonna tie this back with what I was saying before with the domain experts and the cognitive biases that each human has, and therefore each expert and whatever. So there is a way to have to identify these cognitive biases, and the act of doing that is an example of being metacognitive.
Could you explain a bit more?
Yeah. Let me think of a quick example. You are saying something that it's inappropriate, and you realize it only after you said it. That's another example of being metacognitive.
Oh, you mean being self-critical?
It's not exactly self-critical, but it's part of it. Yeah.
So it's kind of being self-aware um, of what you're supposed to be, and you think, "Oops, I broke this rule," kind of thing.
Yeah, like being able to um, navigate your own course, like with corrective action. Like I'm doing, and think about it. Think about it. It is helpful to think about it in terms of solving a problem. Okay, maybe it's a mathematical problem, maybe it's another type of problem. It is still a problem. Okay, so you are planning, you are strategizing a way towards the solution,
Mm-hmm.
and because nobody is perfect, you will never get it 100% correct from the first time. So at each step, you adjust your course. Like you
Mm-hmm.
take into account maybe any potential errors you did, and then you adjust your course and you move on.
Right. So it's the capacity to review something.
To know yourself, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you review yourself before you go to sleep. Like, did I do good today? Did I make any mistakes? Let's
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
what did
It's
I do?
it's yeah, it's very closely connected to a very specific part of memory that is called autobiographical memory.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And then I guess you have to use your imagination. It's like, um, what did it look to people when I accepted a third helping of dessert from my host? It's like, but oh, at the time I was so happy that it was being offered to me. I, ate it very gladly, and then now I think, you know, was there sort, and then you think, oh, maybe people were laughing at me for taking so many helpings of food, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
it also has to do additionally with other problem-solving strategies like intuition, like things that might work.
Hmm.
I think your intuition is part of it, right?
Hmm.
Your basically the interesting part is that you learn by developing these type of metacognitive skills to not discard your intuition.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So we have, I think these things are already in our minds, because I'm reminded of um, um, when I was in primary school, and I was told about Confucius, and one of the things I remember being told about him is that, oh, he always reviewed his day at the end, in the evening, and felt really bad if he did something bad, you know. And I thought, oh, that in a way it makes sense, but in a way, it's all those things that we know we should do, but we don't quite, do properly. But at least we have, this idea that we're supposed to do it, and somebody can remind us, oh yes, I was supposed to do this or that. Um, but and this is kind of what, religion is about. It's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that we're always supposed to do and never supposed to do, and you most of the time we break it, but when we are reminded, we're not going to say, oh, we never knew, we didn't know, that kind of thing.
Okay,
And
okay, go on. Yeah,
I mean, that's all I wanted to say, and it's all about rules. And when I go on about rules, everybody just hates the idea, and say, oh, we're not robots, we're not people, we don't do things like that. We can just, because we're so clever and we're so civilized and so cool, we instinctively know what to do. And it's like, well, you don't. And sometimes, no, actually, all the time, we should know what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do. So,
okay,
um,
yeah,
so when things go wrong, we can immediately think, oh, this thing went wrong because I broke that rule. You know, like,
Okay.
okay, the simplest thing is you're driving and there's a line in the middle of the road. And if you're driving on the wrong side of the road and you have an accident, you're in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's, a very simple rule that, people don't seem to want. It seems that a lot of people just don't want solutions. They just want to complain.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think this is interesting. Uh, I shared with you a link in the studio chat.
Yes.
You know, when you bring rules and laws and all of that as guiding
Hmm.
principles, I
Hmm.
find it interesting, and because the way I'm thinking in such cases,
Hmm.
I try to find a non-conventional example. Like maybe we're not talking directly about religious rules, right? Maybe we're talking about something else, like moral rules.
Hmm.
So, I don't know if you want to share this link, the one
Oh,
from
yes.
the.
Yes, I will do that now. Delphic Maxims.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm just wondering which thing to click. I've just gone blank about what I'm supposed to be. Oh yes, present or invite. Share screen. Delphic Maxims. Add to stage. And then I'll
Okay.
remove us.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So back in the 5th century, there was a list from what they call the Maxims. These
Mm-hmm.
were inscriptions,
Mm-hmm.
like sayings and wisdom and gems or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
some form of guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might call them laws, someone might call them rules, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like it. They were enforced because they were written in their temple. So people
Mm-hmm.
visit the temple, they could read all of them, and we have the
Mm-hmm.
list. And I just wanted to tell you, okay, this is what they were using back then in terms of morality.
Mm-hmm.
As someone living in 2026, I go back and I go through this list, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I cannot find one that is not okay with me,
Mm-hmm.
with my code of conduct. And I'm thinking, okay, is this because of my heritage? Because I'm also Greek. Maybe that's the case. But I wanted to ask you, because you are breaking these rules and into the conversation. What do you think about this set of maxims?
Um, it it sounds fine, right? It sounds fine, but I guess um if you want to be critical, you could ask yourself whether dying for your country is always a good idea you know, if your leaders start a war that shouldn't have started.
Mhm.
Do not be discontented by life. Well, maybe sometimes you need to be to get yourself a better life.
Yeah, for example, grief for no one. I can get it. I can understand why this is a good advice, but it's very difficult to do. So there is also this element that nobody said that these are easy, you know.
Yeah, I suppose it would be some of you might want to ask questions like listen to everyone. It's like, but some people are foolish. Why should you listen to fools? That kind of thing. And be kind to your friends always, even if they're really annoying and they're doing the wrong thing, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Be sociable, okay, but maybe not to bad people. Foresee the future, maybe you're not able to because you're not that wise. Despise insolence, maybe the person you find rude is trying to tell you something that you need to know. I guess it's sort of like the seven deadly sins. It's anger, envy, pride, sloth,
Yeah.
lust, gluttony, greed, and you think, well, actually, some of the things you sort of need to do, if you want to, to marry and have children, you need to feel a bit of lust in order to eat healthily. You might need to enjoy your food, which may tip you over into gluttony, but you should enjoy your food in order to make it easier for you to stay alive by, eating good and healthy food, etc. It's all a question of degree, isn't it? You just mustn't do too much of it. I mean, food is necessary, but if you eat too much, you'll be obese. So there's always the what should we do? And I think the no height laws, they sort of say, well, okay, don't kill. But then, there'll always be these exceptions, like, well, if there is a death penalty and you are the executioner, yes, you have to kill because it's your job. And if you're a soldier fighting the enemy in battlefield, you have to kill. And you are excused. Nobody's going to accuse you of murder. But for every prohibition or commandment, that there's going to be an exception, and we sort of need to know what it is to properly understand the situation, the different the different circumstances.
Yeah.
Because it's just, there will always be an exception, and you have to know it to be considered wise or learned, I guess.
Yeah. You can stop sharing, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just one example of different sets of, I don't know, these moral guidance rules or whatever. And yeah, as we have seen now, it's not like they're written in stone,
Oh yes, give what you have. I mean, it's like, what, everything, So I think you need something more nuanced, like give to charity, but obviously don't impoverish yourself. Have a care for your wife and children. You don't let them starve, and who should you give to, and you just sort of need more rules for these rules. And if they're not clear, you might do something that is harmful to yourself. And I suppose I think the rules system that I think is most efficient is the Quran, because it always gives an exception, because I guess the story is that God is the supreme legislator, and he will anticipate the ways that you might want to break it, and say and think of a way to stop you breaking it, or understand why you could justifiably want to break it, and give exceptions. So I think it is worth reading just to check these things out. I mean, it's very sad that so many Muslims have made such a mess out of it and give such a bad impression. But I think it's because most of them haven't read the Quran in their own language. I mean, even the educated ones. But who reads quicker?
Yeah, probably that's true also for the other two Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, nobody reads, scripture for fun. It's only, anoraks like me. And then I go on about it, and I can't even get the Americans to read the farewell speech of George Washington.
Yeah. By the way, I am very proud in quotes of myself because I know what the word anorak means. Yeah.
Right.
Kudos to that. Yeah. Cool.
Yes. But perhaps you've been accused of being one yourself.
No, not exactly. I just know I recently found that it's in Britain. That's the word you guys use. So yeah.
Yeah, I had a flatmate who I guess, was a bit of an Anunnaki. He was a scientist, and he was interested in trains and planes and
Yeah.
football results and, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Anorak is also the code of the transporters. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, I guess Americans would call them geeks.
Or nerds, right?
Geeks or nerds.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and and this is the thing about American culture, which I think is so harmful, in that, in high school, they divide teenagers into these different tribes, and they ill treat each other if they're in the wrong gang. And it's always the jocks, because the cheerleaders, think they're so handsome and whatever. And so a culture of learning is not, exactly encouraged in American schools. Only a culture of, sport, which is so stupid and boring, and women who, it could be said, cheapen themselves for, stupid men who are good at sport.
I think it's more than that. It's like it serves more purposes than that sport. It's like a universal pacifier at this point. But maybe that was always the case, like
Well, it's
historically.
just this distraction. Yeah, sex and
Yeah,
drugs,
even in the
bread and
Colosseum.
circuses.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
Anyway, I will remember this stream, because I've called it Delphic Maxims, because I've learned something new again from you.
Cool. That's cool.
Yes. So
Yeah. Take care. Thank you for hosting.
thank you for coming with
Yeah.
your knowledge. And well, maybe next time I'll ask you about algebra, because I have a certain interest in it. I really didn't do very well at school in maths, but
Yeah.
I sort of like mathematical
I am
concepts.
interested in mostly in two fields. One is number theory, and the other is group theory. So that's my thing, my research.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is, but I guess that will be our next
One
discussion.
one is the study of numbers, and the other is the study of groups of numbers, something like that.
Something to do with prime numbers and
Yeah, exactly.
why they occur.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Take care. Good night.
Thank you, Ups. Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.